The learnings of Nishmas Etta Ahuva Bazakim Maseches Bava Metzia Perek Vav Mishna Dalet Hasecher Sapara Lachrish Bahar V'charish Bebika in Nishbar Hakanken Pater. If you rented it aldas to plow it in a mountain and you ended up plowing it in a valley which is lighter on the Kli HaMachrisha, on the Kankan, so then you're going to be Pater because you brought it into a easier place. But Bebika V'charish Bahar, but if you rented it to use it in the bika and wind up using it on the mountain, which is harder on the plow, so since you changed it to a worse of a place for the Kli HaMachrisha, so therefore in Nishbar Kankan, if the Kli HaMachrisha breaks, then you're going to be chayiv. Same thing, Ladish Bekitnis V'dash B'tfua Pater, but Ladish B'tfua V'dash Bekitnis chayiv over here, Mimnei Shakitnis Machlekes. The beans will make the animal slip, and therefore that is because you changed it to use it for beans instead of grains. That's why the damage happened, and therefore you are chayiv. The Gemara discusses in it when you were renting the plow in the Reisha of the Mishnah, and there was no shinoi. The hainu you was seicher sapar lachrish bahar v'charish bahar. There was no shinoi. Which one of the workers is going to be chayiv? So the person that's renting it is not chayiv, but there are two different workers. The one that is in the front that leads the para, and the one that's in the back that figures out the height of the machrisha, and the Gemara discusses which one is chayiv. Interestingly enough, it should be negeya. The Rishonim point out in the Reisha, the Mishnah also, where you were mishtana l'malyusa, the hainu you rented it lachreish bahar, and you winded up charish bebika, where over there you're pater, over there also it should be negeya, the discussion of which worker is chayiv. So Taisus speaks about that, and the Taisus Yantif over here brings down that the Rambam holds that, in fact, the Uman would be chayiv in this case. Mishnah Hey Hasecher Es Hachamor Lahavi Aleh Chitem Hevi Aleh Sa'orim Chayiv Tzvua V'Hevi Aleh Teven Chayiv Mimnei Sha'anefech Kosher L'Masei. You rented a chamar to bring wheat, and you wind up bringing either barley or straw, which is much lighter than the wheat, so you are going to be chayiv. So we're talking about over here that you rented it in order to bring 15 sa'ah, which is a volume measure of wheat, and that happens to be equal to a volume of 16 sa'ah of sa'irim. The issue over here is that sa'irim, even though it's lighter, but because it's going to be bulkier, so 16 sa'ah of sa'irim is going to be bulkier than 15 sa'ah of chitim, so that's why you're chayiv, because the nefach, the bulky, is kasha le-masoi. So therefore, the 16 sa'ah of sa'irim, which is equal in weight to 15 sa'ah of chitim, and that's what you had rented it for the 15 sa'ah of chitim, but since it's bulkier, then you're going to be chayiv. That's the way Rava teaches the Mishnah. The Rav over here actually teaches it like a baye, which the Taisus Yantiv points out is shalei ke'elchasa, that even if you brought 15 and a half sa of sa'irin, as opposed to the 15 sa of chitim, so even though it actually weighs less, but the bulkiness is just as bad as the weight. So we ignore the weight issue, even though it's less of a weight than it's able to carry, but since bulkiness is kim masoi, and that would stem with the girsa of the Mishnayos that's brought in the Gemara that says kim masoi, so then you would be chayiv, even though it's a lighter weight, but since the bulkiness is just as bad as weight, and you were meisif, you're half a sa more than the 15 sa of chitim, so 15 and a half sa of sa'irim, you're going to be chayiv. The Taisus Yantiv says that the Rab must have had the girsa kim masoi in the Mishnah over here also, and that's why he was mefarish it aliba de abaya de leik elchasa. The Mishnah continues, lahavi lesech chitim v'hevi lesech sa'irim pater. If all you brought was 15 sa of sa'irim, so then it doesn't make a difference if it's chitim or sa'irim. At the end of the day, you only brought your 15 sa, which is what it's able to carry, and therefore you are pater. The end of the Mishnah says, Vim hoisef al masai chayiv, if you were moisef on the 15 sa, you'd be chayiv. Kama yosef al masav yehei chayiv, sumchas eimer mishum rameir, sa'al legamel, shalish kabin lechamar. So 3 kabin l'chamar is a half a sa. So if you rented it to bring 15 sa of chitim and you brought 15 and a half sa of chitim, then you're going to be chayiv.